So yesterday we did a Gemara. We discussed that you cannot make this house is 3x3. You cannot make a house as 3x3. A ibor, a protrusion which connects two cities. Every city. If you have a city and within 70 amos of that city, you have a house, you can extend it. 3x3 cannot extend it. Then we said another thing. Then we're bothered because our Bryce has said that you cannot make this house. Partners cannot force one partner cannot force the other to divide the house. So Ayla pointed out yesterday that it seemed to say you cannot force a chutzner. They said chutzner and a house is the same thing. Ayla was all bothered about that a little bit yesterday. Chutzner and a house is the same thing. But we made a diak. That would imply that if it was 4 amos, then you could force each other to divide, which was a problem with the Gemara in Bava Basra. The Mishnah in Bava Basra says that partners cannot force each other to divide unless there's 8 amos in total, 4 for each, right? So the Gemara says that no. The Gemara says you're right. We don't really mean that you can't force each other to divide because even 4 amos wouldn't be good. You need to have 8 amos. Rather, we mean this is not subject to the law of chalukah, the law of division. What is that law? What is that law of division? That law is a machlekes. What's a machlekes? Rav Chisda and Rav Huna. And the machlekes is that how do you divide a chutzner? When you have a chutzner that has houses opening up to that chutzner, how do you divide the chutzner? You go based according to as many entrances as there are. As many entrances as you own, that's how much of a percentage of the chutzner you'll get. Or do you say no? Every entrance gets 4 amos, after that divided equally. Whichever way you understand it, what we mean to say, whichever way, whether you say you can go according to the entrances, or whether you say that every entrance gets 4 amos, then you divide it equally. This house is 3x3. It is not subject to any side in that machlekes. That's what we said yesterday. And now we are discussing a new Gemara here, a new Gemara on that Gimel Amud Beis. The new Gemara here says on Haisa Gavoya Me'esr Ma'ama. This is a very interesting Gemara over here. The Gemara says that if it was higher than Haisa Gavoya Me'esr Ma'ama, so you have the inside space of a sukkah that's higher than 20 amos, right? And a sukkah that's higher than 20 amos is a good. Ubol Lemata, and you want to reduce its height. Ubol Lemata. You want to reduce its height. Bikarim uviksasais, with mattresses and pillows and cushions. Mattresses and cushions. Bikarim, mattresses, uksasais, and cushions. So what do you want to do? You want to bring in these cushions and put them on the floor of the sukkah. And now you would say there's less than 20 amos from the cushions and the mattresses to the schach. You'll reduce the height to less than 20 amos. Lo yavimiyid. It's not a valid reduction. Lo yavimiyid. This isn't a valid reduction of the space. That doesn't work. And I wrote on the side because you won't let it stay there for all 7 days. That's what I wrote. The Rashi tells us that.
Is it going to get ruined?
Yeah, because you're afraid it's going to get stolen. People are reluctant. People are reluctant to have you because again. So I wrote on the side because you won't let it stay there for all 7 days. Rashi points out because you're worried it's going to get stolen. People, you see a thing out there for there too. You bring it in already.
Not to jump the gun or anything. Forget what I think if I recall it's going to say about being mavatal to the ground, but it's not considered the ground. It's not a.
Mute yourself.
I don't know.
So the Gemara says, look at the Gemara says, but this is a continuation.
Wait, I have a question on this though.
Yes.
What does it mean you don't want to keep you're supposed to
ago.
treat your sukkah like it's your house, you bring all...
Right. But here we're talking about that you don't want to use that as, again, if you want to use it as a couch, that's not going to help. But what you need here, you need to reduce the airspace as if you need to add on to the ground. You need to add on space, you need to add on layers to the ground to reduce the height of the sukkah.
I'm saying it's the same fact. The fact is that you're going to keep stuff in your sukkah the whole Yom Tiv.
Right?
And you're not worried that someone's stealing it. You're not. Why should we worry that someone's...
That's an interesting point. You're saying on Rashi, you're saying that I'm telling you that you're not going to leave it out there. Then we say that sukkah you're supposed to bring in your bed and your cushions. I like the question. Rashi says over here the reason I spoke on a minute ago. The reason why it's not a valid reduction is because people won't leave it there for all 7 days. Rav is asking good. We spoke out earlier. Yeah, bring your stuff in. You're supposed to bring it in there for all 7 days. It's a good question. It's a good question. So the Gemara says, And even though this is a real continuation, so let's back. The last line says, if you reduce it, the mattress and pillows, that's not a good reduction. And even if you look how you tie this, even if you verbally nullify it, you did bittul. You said, I want this here, the lakulu for all 7 days. Again, and even though you nullified it lakulu for all 7 days, what I did was I put a slash. It's not good, right? You put a slash, because this is the reason why it's not good. Even if you verbally nullified for all 7 days, it's not good. Put a slash. Mishum, because the batla daitai eitza kol adam. Your intention is nullified to the general people's attitude. Again, and even though you nullified it, even though you nullified those pillows for all 7 days, put a slash. It's still not good. It's still not good. Why? Mishum the batla daitei eitzakal adam. Your intention is nullified to the general people. And I wrote on the side, and most people don't nullify their mattress for 7 days. So you could say, look, I made this part of the floor. We say, no. We don't care what you did. Yeah, whatever you do has to fit within what's a normal behavior.
You're saying because it's probably going to be moved?
Because you can't give your das when you want to try to be involved with something, it has to fit in to what's normally done.
So if you have a platform, a stage, that's
if you put a
normal
stage, exactly. So we don't look at things on a personal basis. What you're doing has to fit in to what's normally done. So va'avagav the batlinu lukulu, and even though you mavatal those pillows for all 7 days, it's not good. Why? Put a slash. Mishum, because you don't read it straight. Mishum, because the batla daite, your intention is nullified eitzakal adam to the general people's attitude. And I wrote on the side, and people don't nullify it for 7 days.
Well, let's say I don't care about
the
my
batla daite eitzakal adam.
I have a junky mattress. I don't care if it says after.
One man's trash is another man's treasure.
So I think that we're going that even so. Again, you're asking a more particular question. If there's something which people wouldn't, you're saying let's have something which people wouldn't. Let's say have something again. If your mattress is you have 10 mattresses in your house and one of them you want to throw out, I don't know. I'm not sure.
But talking about karmic sosis, you're not talking about maybe yours is garbage. Like if you're filling with garbage,
the lashon of the rice here is mattresses and cushions. So it's implied that those are objects you're taking from your house. You're trying to reduce that space, so you're taking stuff off your couch, you're putting your sukkah and you gavald it. The Gemara says it's not good because your intention is nullified to the general people's intention, and people don't do that. Okay, now this is a whole shtickle over here. Teven. Okay, Rabbi Say, I want to just give a 10-second introduction over here. For what we're going to be discussing, let's keep in mind there are three things that people will nullify, just for the sake of our Gemara. This is what you have to know. We discussed pillows and mattresses. That is never good, right? Next one is going to be teven, is straw. And teven is some yes, some no. Teven has some value. Some people would nullify, would not. The bottom level is offer, which is dirt. Okay? Now, opposite that, there's three ways you could try to nullify it, or we can see it nullified. Either you verbally nullify it. You said, I'm being mavatal this to the ground. That's one level. And even lower than that is if you don't explicitly nullify it, but we know that the guy put it down there and he has no intention of moving it. A guy didn't say, I'm making this part of the ground, making this part of the sukkah. A guy came and he said, where can I throw this? I'm not going to use this for next month. And he threw his thing into the sukkah. So that's called, you put something there, you have no intention of moving it. But did you nullify it? No. But I just where can I put this? I need to put something, I have space in my sukkah. You started to put something on the floor, okay? The third thing is stam. We don't know what the guy's attitude was. Now I'm just giving that, you'll see everything in the Gemara. Everything will be in the Gemara. Teven, if you have straw, ubitlai, and you verbally nullify it. Bitlai means when you see the word bitlai, it usually means verbal. You nullify it. Have a miyut. That's a good reduction. That's a good. That would help you if your sukkah. If your sukkah is too high, you could put straw and you nullify it. This is straw. I'm nullifying a part of the sukkah. That's good.
What would I think now?
You're right, but I think just to contrast that with the pillows and cushions, we want to say tevin is less valuable, and therefore, for someone, even though some people want to keep it as animal food. Let's say they wouldn't use it as the floor of the sukkah. Some people use it.
Well, wouldn't you think if someone uses whatever it is to put in their sukkah because he wants to raise the ground, it's obviously going to be something that he doesn't care about because he sits on it, he stands on it, dirt, garbage, whatever.
Well, we see that by pillows it wouldn't work. Pillows that want to work, even though this guy wants it, because you say people don't take their mattresses and use it. For your case, you need it. If people wouldn't use it, when we say tevin, we're saying tevin is something which is used, and therefore, if you have explicit, if you have a verbal nullification, that's going to help. It says the Gemara, "V'kol shekin afar," and certainly dirt. Ubitla, if you took dirt and you mavatal it, dirt which is so insignificant, and you mavatal it to the ground, certainly everyone agrees that's going to help. Okay. That put a period over there. That's klar. So tevin, anything straw and dirt. Straw is higher than dirt, and then dirt is the lowest level. Each one of those, if you have a verbal null, a bittul, it's going to help. Good. Tevin. What happens if you have straw? Ve'ein asel lefanaisai, and he has no plan of moving it. The owner has no plans of moving it. It doesn't have a verbal declaration. I wrote on the side, no verbal nullification. So again, tevin, straw, ve'ein asel lefanaisai, and he does not plan on moving it. I wrote on the side, with no verbal nullification. It's no bittul. There's no bittul here though. Okay. V'offer stam. And offer stam means that dirt, stam, means that we have no idea, that we don't know the owner's intention at all. All we saw was the owner come and pour dirt in a sukkah.
Has to be on Sukkah or before Sukkah?
Before Sukkah, let's say he came and he poured dirt. So again, we're putting two things in one group: teven, straw, and the owner is not going to move it. Let's drop down one level, something more insignificant: dirt, and the owner. We don't know the owner's intention. Both of these are in the same category. I want the Ilam just to think for a second why they would both be in the same category. Because since dirt is less chashiv, it might need less of a nullification.
Most people don't care about
need
dirt.
nullification.
Right. So it might need
This is
anything.
literally what offer is used for, to make
Exactly.
doors.
So that's why teven, you would need at least, you have to know that he has no intention of moving it. But perhaps dirt, you don't need to know that he doesn't have any intention. Just if he puts it there, you can assume that it's good.
Unless it's on your property or something, if it's on the ground.
Right, then you can exactly. So that's what we're saying. That's why I just want to point out why they're both put together. So look, teven, straw, ve'ein asel lefanaisai, and the owner has no intention of moving it. V'offer stam, an offer that's put there, and everyone on the side, without knowing the owner's intention.
But why don't you? Isn't that what the floor is made out of?
Yes, so but true.
Right. You can't even differentiate with what
True.
you put there and the rest of the
Right, true. Well, but let's look. Let's see what happens. However, look at Rabbi Rami. The Gemara says, "Machlekes,
It's regular dirt.
Machlekes, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbanan." This is a Machlekes, Rabbi Yossi, and Rabbanan. If this is good, okay, Machlekes, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbanan. Even so, it's still Machlekes, Rabbi Yossi, and Rabbanan. Let's see. Titanan, because we learned in a Mishnah. But I said, there's one thing I have to chazer from. We learned about Tumah earlier this year. If you have a house and there's a mace in that house and there's a roof on that house, that roof acts as a barrier, so the Tumah does not go through the roof. Remember that?
Yeah.
If you have at least a tefach space, if this is the roof of a house and there's a mace chashom on the floor, the roof it stops. The Tumah stops for the roof.
Yeah.
Oh,
Stagger.
Start. So right, that's clear. So if you have a mace on the floor and there's a gap, then it stops for the roof. What happens if this whole gap is filled up? So you have a mace over here, but the whole gap is filled up, or the mace is touching the roof like that. Then the mace shoots straight through the roof. The tumah goes straight through the roof to the sky. Okay?
Is this the reason why
This is
they
a
put a mace on the
kavach
floor and not keep it on the bed, even though the ceiling is so tall
Yeah.
enough?
Well,
There's a couple of reasons. One big.
this is your territory.
One, Rick.
No, you're there. Go ahead.
I'm
You're
working on
there.
myself.
Yeah.
No, one of the things that I heard is because you gotta try. You don't want to levatel it goof. You don't want to but you have to show a little bit because you know what's coming, what comes around the goof. So that's why we put onto the floor to show that that's one thing. Another thing also because tuma.
So look. So
It's straightforward.
okay, everybody. So look over here, right? So what we're going to discuss right now is you have a house with a mace, and you put dirt and straw inside the house till the roof. We want to know if what you did, if you nullified it, if you have a good nullification. If you nullified it, then it becomes part of the house, and the tumah shoots straight through and goes through the roof.
Only if
it's not
the mace is on top of it.
No, if it's underneath it. If it's, let's say there's a mace over here, and there's no space to the roof. Look, this is my hand, is the roof.
There's no tefach between
Look.
it, so now that's it. Nothing covering.
There's
There's
no
no
tefach of air.
Exactly. You need ear space. You need ear space to create a stop. If there's no ear space, let's say the hand, right? And this hand is the roof. There's a mace on the bottom. It shoots straight through. So what happens, right? If I hear this case, what happens if you have a mace on the floor and you've stuffed the house with something which you're not sure if the nullification is good? Let's see. Tonight, we looked in the Mishnah. We want to show a machlekes regarding straw that you don't have intention to move and offer stam. Tonight, we looked in the Mishnah. Bias, a house with a mace in it. Bias, a house that has a mace. Okay? A house that has a mace. Shemiliu Tevin. That you filled it up with straw. You filled up the entire house with straw. Right? It's rice or pebbles. Now pebbles is the same thing as dirt. So you can write pebbles/dirt. Good? Ubitloi. And you were mevatel that dirt and that straw to the house.
Verbally.
Verbally, yeah. Ubitloi. And you had a verbal bittel. You saw me mevatel this to the house. Mevotel. Now it's a good nullification.
Therefore,
And I wrote on the side, and the tumah within the house will rise through the roof, right down the side. The tumah that's on the bottom, because you filled up the whole thing with let's say over here, let's say there's a piece of tumah over here, right? So the roof over here will act as a barrier. Yeah. Let's say you filled from here to the roof with straw, and you nullified it. So now the house, that's part of the house, that's straw. And now the tumah has no oil because it's stuffed from the mess to the roof. So the tumah will shoot straight through. It needs a space to stop it.
right.
So if you have a mace and you put straw and you nullified it, now that mace shoots straight through the straw and through the roof.
And anything over it.
Anything over it will become tummy. That's the whole thing. A plane can't fly over things because there's. I always imagine if you put on like the goggles, to see tumah, the tumah goggles, you'd see exactly where those beams are. So
today's day you can really see we put on tefillin. Imagine we come out with that.
So right. So you would see that. Okay. So if you put on those goggles, you would see it going through the roof. Okay. 1 second. Look over here. Good. B'toni Allah. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Bitloi. If you mevatel it in, yes, meaning that then that's the halacha. You look how you read that. Bitloi in, put a comma now. If you mevatel it, yes, then the tumah goes through, then it becomes part of the house. Loi bitloi, but if you're not mevatel it, loi, it does not become part of the house, and the house will act as an oil. Loi, and the house will be an oil, because even though it's stuffed, we don't look as at the straw as part of the house. Period. Okay.
I have a question. Why this last case? Why is it not good?
Because you're having things inside the house which aren't, basically, you can't put something on top of the mace temporarily and say, look, there's no tumah going through. The tumah is in a house. If there's something on top of it temporarily, that's not going to be viewed as basically we want that this, on top of this mess, it has to be stuck from top of the mess to the roof.
Once it's mevatel, it becomes part of the house.
If you're mevatel, it now becomes part of the house. So now there's
I
nothing.
don't care if it's part of the house. If it's blocking it, it's blocking it. Who
But
cares
we
what
don't
I did?
consider this chashiv enough to be considered a real blockage. You're saying in Mitzias it's being blocked. But halacha doesn't look at something like that unless, because if it's something that's going to be removed, it's not considered a real blockage yet until you mevatel it. You need to have verbal bittul. At that point,
Even if it's dirt.
You're
even if
saying
it's
even though it's not a chashuv item, so how come if I'm vatal it, why is it considered?
because at that point we're saying mevatel it, you're making it part of the house. You're
But it's
making.
not a chashuv item.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. No, the reason not because it's chashuv. The reason because we don't see it staying there. If you're not mevatel, then we say, hey, why is this not part of the house? It's something which is here now, will be gone tomorrow.
Well, why does it have to be part of the house? Let's say I have something that's directly on top of the mace, right on top of it. That's not part of the house. A bed is right on top of the mace. It will also stop it.
A
But it's not part
bed,
of the house.
a
Right, a
bed,
bed with
that's-
no space. Let's say no space between the mace and a bed.
right. Right.
The bed's
Still
on top of the
space
mace.
in between
No,
Right.
no, let's say there's no space. No, but it already blocks it. The bed already blocks it.
Wait, the bed's touching him or not touching him?
Yeah.
You're saying good.
Sorry, or it doesn't.
So maybe
whatever.
the bed is-
either way, whatever.
The bed is mevatel though to the ground in a way.
That's what I would say. The Rashi says, "I command the panye." It's like it's a clear space, and it's, Rashi says, it's like there's a halal here. There's a gap. We don't look at it like it's anything. He's on.
Chaim.
I think he's listening. Must be
Okay,
listening.
fine. Everybody, so let's move on. I want to just get to the end of the Gemara. Almost at the end of the Gemara.
Yes, I'm here, people.
Why are you on pause?
But tonight, okay, Rabbi, hold on, Rabbi, hold on.
Doesn't want to distract us with his video.
Okay, Vitani Allah, Rabbi say, let's go on over here. Vitani Allah, and we learned about this brisa. Rabbi say, what is this brisa discussing? We learned about this brisa, right? This brisa discussed if you mevatel teven or dirt. Vitani Allah, and we learned about this brisa. Rabbi Yosi says, teven, straw, and the intention is not to remove it. Right, without a verbal bittul. Teven straw, and you don't plan on removing it. Hariyu ka'afar stam. This is like offer stam. Offer stam means we don't know any intention, right? Offer stam is lower level. Remember, there's bittul, real nullification. There's ein asel l'fanaisa, which means he's not nullifying it, but we know he's not going to move it. And then there's stam. Stam means we don't know any intention. And straw, the ein asel l'fanaisa, and you're not going to move it. And offer stam is in the same group. Right? Rabbi Yossi Amar teven, straw, the ein asel l'fanaisa, straw which you're not going to move. Harehu ka'offer stam. That's like offer stam ubatal, and that's a good bittul even without any verbal nullification. That's where you see he's arguing on the Tanakama. The Tanakama says you need a verbal declaration, right? We saw before if you're mevatel it, yeah. If you're not mevatel it, no. Rabbi Yosi, right? That's what we said. The first thing we said, the Tanan. The island follows the Tanan. We said that 5 lines up the Tanan. If you filled up a house with straw and pebbles, if you mevatel it, yes. If not, not. On this, Rabbi Yosi learns. B'tani Allah. Rabbi Yosi learns about this regarding straw and without intention to move it. It's like stam offer, and what's the halacha? Ubatal, and it's batal. Do you see that? That's a machlekes. The Tanakama would say, no, you need to have actual bittul. It doesn't help offer stam is not good enough. And teven, straw, they're not going to move. That's not enough for us. We need that, that's the Tanakama says.
But what about offer vein asel l'fanaisa?
Oh, then Avad, it's going to be good. For sure.
At the lowest
Even
level,
stam.
isn't it?
No, according to Tanakam.
They're not good. No. Tanakama, everything needs verbal declaration. Everything needs. Offer, what happens if you have dirt? V'asel l'fanaisa. Now, you have dirt, but you plant. You know the guy put it there, but he says he put down bags of soil. He says, "I'm going to come get these in a day or two." And you know he's going to remove. He's going to take it away in Milv Sukkos. Hareu kistam teven. That's like teven without any intention. V'loy batal, and that's not good because you're moving everything up one level. You're taking teven. What do we? I'm sorry. The last thing we just said was. We said, excuse me, 1 second. Offer. You take offer and we're raising it from stam offer. We're raising it to a lower level. He's going to move it away. For sure it's not good. Yeah? That's klar. He takes dirt and he says, I'm moving in 2 days. That's not good. That's the same thing like straw, stam straw, without knowing his intention. Now, the reason why by straw it doesn't work is because straw is something which many people don't nullify it. They want to take it. Straw was used for many different things. So just because it's there now, if you don't know that he's not going to move it, doesn't help.
And Mela in our Mishnah, according to BAC, if you use this tevin v'lei without verbalizing it, it would still be a kasha sukkah. If you use it to be my, according to BAC.
Tevin ve'ena asad l'fanaisai.
Correct. Or
Yes.
for stam.
Yes, that's what we said. Gavaldik. So, basically, just to recap in just 10 seconds what we saw today. We saw today that if you want to reduce the height of your sukkah with pillows and mattresses, it's not good. Even if you have a mind to do it for all 7 days, it doesn't help because your intention is we look at your intention compared to the general people's intention, and most people don't nullify it. Then we discuss what happens if you have straw. If you have a verbal declaration, everyone agrees verbal declaration is good. But then we said, but if you have straw that you don't plan on moving, or offer, and we don't know your intention, that's a machlekes. Because that's a machlekes. The Tanna Kama says that you need to have verbal declaration for everything. But Basi says no, straw, and you don't plan on moving it. Let's say you hear the guy saying, I'm leaving my straw here for a month. That's good. Or offer stams, even offer without knowing any intention, you can assume he means to nullify it, and then that's a machlekes. Tanna Kama says you need verbal declaration, or Basi says no, that itself is going to be good. Okay, shkayach.